This week's been pretty chilly, but we did have this weird heat wave come through. So stay tuned to find out what fragrances I wore this week. Hey, what's going on? Hunter here and welcome back to my channel where I upload weekly fragrance content. So of course you know what to do. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button down below and also be sure to follow me over on my Instagram page. But I know it's been a while since my last weekly fragrance rotation. I sort of took a break from this series, but it's back up and running consistently. Because I know you guys enjoy this series and I enjoy making it as well. And if you are new to this series, we basically run down what fragrance I wear on each day, the kind of weather, how many sprays, and of course if that particular fragrance got any compliments or not. So let's not waste any time and get right into Sunday. So on Sunday it was in the low 50s and also a very kind of gloomy, rainy day outside. And I put out one of my favorite kind of cooler weather fragrances, at least in my opinion, and it is of course zaharoff's Nexos. I know a lot of people actually say this works good in the spring and summertime. I honestly do not see how that is. It does have a slight burst of citrus in the opening that literally lasts less than 30 minutes and then it goes down into that very sweet, cloying honey and earthy tobacco with some aromatic lavender as well too, which is a perfect combination and a very unique DNA. And on that day, I did do 6 sprays with Nexos. I don't recall doing much on Sunday, so I wasn't really around many people or anything like that, so no compliments on that day. But man, every time I wear this one, I am always just kind of blown away at how good this fragrance is. It probably is my favorite from the house of the zaharoff because this stuff is literally incredible. Highly recommend Nexos. Heading into Monday now, it was actually in the high 50s and a sunny day outside. And I put out a brand new release that I recently gotten in, and I've honestly worn this one like 3 times in the past week or so. Love this fragrance and it's incredible. One of the best releases this year, and it is Tumi's 19 Degree. If you caught my recent review of this, you would know how good this fragrance literally is. It has spicy saffron in the opening alongside a very dark raspberry note. So it's fruity, it's spicy, woody, it's leathery, just an incredible DNA with outstanding performance because it is an extrait de parfum. And honestly, the best release from Tumi thus far. Trust me, this stuff is fantastic. Now, on that day, I actually did do 8 sprays of 19 degrees, so I did overdo it because I love this fragrance so much. No compliments on that day, but man, this is definitely a crowd pleaser. I can see so many people really enjoying this one and appreciating it. For Tuesday, it was in the low 70s and kind of cloudy outside, and I pulled out one of my old signature scents before Bulgari Tiger became my signature scent. You guys would know that if you know me or watch my videos. Tiger is my go-to signature. As of now, of course, that can change, but this one used to be it, and it's very similar to Tiger. It is Louis Vuitton's L'Immensité. How I would describe this one is it's a little bit more of a mature, grown-up take on the Bulgari Tiger DNA, made by the same perfumer, the man himself, Jacques Cavalier. But this one has a heavy dose of ginger into that kind of scent profile. And a little bit more aromatic. Still love this fragrance so much. Probably my favorite freshie from Louis Vuitton as well. Just fantastic. Honestly, could still easily be my signature scent. I just think Tiger suits me a little bit better. This one though is much more complex than Tiger. And maybe this will be my signature scent in a few years when I start to get a little bit older and things like that. Because like I said, it is a slightly more mature take. Now, on that day, I did do 8 sprays of L'Immensité. And I did get a comment about it, which wasn't necessarily a compliment. And I had a coworker that was walking behind me and she came up to me. She's like, my nose has been stuffy, but when I walk behind you, I know I can actually smell and my nose is working. So I thought that was kind of funny that this fragrance must have been projecting heavy because she did say that about it. Didn't say it was bad or anything along those lines, but I guess L'Immensité cleared her nose when it was stuffy, supposedly. But yeah, that's what I chose to wear on Tuesday is Louis Vuitton's L'Immensité. Now, heading into Wednesday was also in the low 70s and kind of cloudy outside, and I pulled out yet again another brand new fragrance in my collection that I am very late to because this got a ton of hype within the last year, and it is Versace's Hacivat. Now, does this one live up to the hype? Actually, it does, in my opinion, especially for that low price tag you can find these for. Just because of how crowd pleasing it is, compliment getter, and extremely versatile. And it can be found anywhere from like $20 to $50 online, which you honestly cannot beat it. Even though it is a very, very synthetic fragrance, I don't really mind that, of course. Synthetics have their place along with high quality naturals also, so not the end of the day, especially for that price tag, and it's gonna get you a ton of compliments because I did get a compliment on that day. One of my coworkers, she actually came over and approached me. He's like, hey, you smell really good. What is that? Of course, I told her the name, and it said it is a Middle Eastern brand because obviously the majority of people have never heard of the brand Versace. And I told her what it smelled like and what was in it, like apple, of course, it's fruity, aquatic, it's a little bit spicy. And she's like, yeah, that smells really good for like the fall time. And I was like, yeah, it actually does. Very good fall fragrance, very good spring fragrance. Like I said earlier, it can just be worn all year. Now, I did do actually 8 sprays, so this stuff was pushing off of the skin, extremely potent juice. So that is the upside. Using a bunch of synthetics, this stuff is gonna perform all day long and project for hours. That's honestly why I got so much hype. It's cheap, it performs, and it smells great. That's what I put out for Wednesday, and I cannot wait to try the new Flanker Ice. Thursday was in the low 70s and cloudy yet again. And on that day, I was just in the mood to smell like a king. For some reason, I just wanted that kind of confidence, that vibe. And of course, I had to go with none other than the king itself, Creed Aventus. Now, I know the brand new Absolute Aventus is dropping in a few days, which I'm gonna absolutely have to get a bottle of that. And I think that's actually limited. Only 1 batch is being made. So if you want it, you're gonna have to pick it up because I don't think Creed's gonna make it anymore. But of course, this is still the king, the original Aventus. And if for you batch lovers out there, this is batch 19S31. I believe one of the best 19 batches of all time. It's very fruity, smoky with that salty ambergris and just a perfect balance. Now, on that day, I did do 8 sprays of this as well. Kind of been my go-to lately. My usual has been 8 sprays. Not too heavy, but not too light where nobody can smell you. So I think that is the perfect spot. And I did get a compliment at work when I was eating. My coworker was kind of by me and she's like, you smell really good. What are you wearing? And I told her the name and she's like, what is that? Like a $300 fragrance? And she asked me that because last week I was wearing a fragrance that was around $300. She's like, wow, how much does that cost? And I told her, and she's like, whoa. And then I was like, yeah, no, this is actually a $500 retail fragrance, and she almost like fell over. And it's crazy to think that these retail for literally $500. I think it's $495 at like Saks Fifth Avenue and stuff. Of course, you can find these heavily discounted, obviously, but when it comes to the retail, yeah, $500 fragrance, which is mind-blowing. If you got the money to spend, you want to smell like a king, you want to get compliments, you really cannot go wrong with Aventus. For Friday, it was in the mid-70s and cloudy out. And I actually put out a brand new fragrance from actually a brand new fragrance house that just dropped, and I think it's very unique. And it is Future Societies, and this happens to be Haunted Rose. So let me tell you a little bit about this house because it definitely piqued my interest. Basically, with all their fragrances, they go based off of an extinct flower note. This one, I believe, is based off an extinct flower from South Africa from the 1960s, I think was the last time it was seen. And they actually do like tests and DNA samples and stuff like that to get the smell of those flowers. And this one is incredible. And I love that name. And it kind of suits like October month Haunted Rose. It's a very dark, jammy rose. Also very sweet. It does definitely lean slightly more on the feminine side, but it does dry down into almost like that rose oud combination. It's also extremely earthy. And there's something in there which is probably coming from that extinct kind of inspired by floral note that makes it smell like something I've never smelled before. It's very different. And I believe this brand just dropped, I think last month if I'm not mistaken, and can be found over at, I believe, Neiman Marcus or Nordstrom, one of those. And on that day, I only did actually 3 sprays of Haunted Rose because when I tested this a few days prior, the performance was nuclear. This lasted all day into even the next day. It was just outstanding what they did with the performance. I also have another one, I believe that's called Floating Forest. And I think they have 6 in the line. Definitely recommend checking these out if you kind of like something a little bit more artsy and unique when it comes to fragrances because they definitely did that. Wrapping the week off on Saturday, it was in the mid-60s and rainy outside. And I put out yet again another brand new fragrance in my collection, even though I have worn this a few times, but it is coming from the house of Tomovici. And this is their brand new Zenobia. And look how elegant this golden bottle looks, guys. One of the most beautiful bottles I've ever seen. This sucker definitely stands out. You might know this brand from Demigod 21, a fantastic, like incredible fougere fragrance. And this one also absolutely did not disappoint. It's very sweet from the vanilla think there's some black currant in there, a little bit of rose, and you have this spicy saffron with a little bit of oud in the base that just adds characteristics to the whole DNA. Perfect for like the colder weather, like the fall and winter. And just smells extremely luxurious and unlike anything I've smelled before. Very unique scent DNA. I have to give props to Tomovici for creating this beauty right here. And on that day, I did do 5 sprays of Zenobia, and the performance was great. Of course, you would expect that being an extrait de parfum, highly concentrated and potent, that will push through the colder weather, especially like the winter. I could see this one performing very well through those cold, kind of crisp winter months. No compliments on that day. Didn't do much but run errands and things like that, but man, fantastic launch from Tomovici and highly worth checking out or at least sampling, because I believe you guys would love this one just as much as me. Now, that's going to do it for my weekly fragrance rotation. Let me know down below the kind of fragrances you guys are pulling out. I love seeing what you guys are reaching for. Always bring in those unique fragrances that even myself have never tried or heard of. So leave a comment, subscribe if you guys haven't already, and of course, I'll catch you all back here in my next video. Take care, everybody.